What's up, guys? Chris Brown from Train Boston coming at you with your weekly nutrition tip. This week's tip is to create rules and constraints for yourself to be successful in nutrition. Now, what do I mean by rules and constraints? Why do we want those? Well, most successful people create rules and constraints for themselves if they are not given them by others. Because without rules and constraints, it becomes very difficult to figure out exactly where to go and exactly what to do to get to our endpoint and our goal. We've talked about in the past how to set good goals and why goals matter and how it is difficult to set goals that you really care about. But we haven't talked about how we can really mold those rules or mold these rules into making that goal an easy point to get to. Right? In the fitness industry, we set physical constraints all the time to help our clients or patients move to the right pattern or feel the right things without having to work so hard. They don't have to think about how they do it. They just can easily do it because the physical restraints stop them. For instance, when we have someone do a hip hinge or a deadlift, we might elevate their toes to put them into a hip back position through their heels. The heels are going to make them feel their glutes and or hamstrings more. And you could do the inverse or the opposite for squats. Maybe we're going to elevate their heels to put them forward into a plantar flexed position, which is going to make it easier to get low and down with their hips and stay upright with their torso. We can do this in a similar fashion with basically any wellness component like sleep or nutrition or meditation or anything. We just got to set these restraints and these rules and make sure that they're actually good and feasible and actually easy to do. And then you're going to line them up with where you want to end up or what your goal is going to be. So let's go over a few examples of what we can do. I like to set these nutritional rules into categories, and I'm going to just give you some examples and talk about why they can help you or how they can help you. So an easy one is problematic foods or problematic eating habits, right? So I like to say whenever I'm going to have a high processed carbohydrate or high carbohydrate meal, I'm going to make sure it's on a day that I challenged myself in my workout. All right, so on the days I'm really crushing myself, I plan to have more carbohydrates. Now that doesn't inherently mean I'm going to eat garbage, but it means maybe I'll go have some pasta or some rice or some kefir, quinoa, whatever, a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, whatever I want, maybe potatoes, but only on the day where I know I'm going to utilize it. All right. Maybe another rule is I will never eat, insert food here, I will never eat pizza because I can't control myself around it. Everybody has a certain food. Maybe you were conditioned as a kid to overeat something like peanut butter out of a jar or Ritz Bits crackers, and you just love them. But whenever you have them, you just can't stay away. All right. So sometimes there's just, you have to admit, hey, I can't do it. I can't have these foods. Whenever I do, I overeat them. So you can make a rule, I won't eat it, or I will never eat it in my house because if it's in my house, I'm going to come back to it every time. That rule works really well. Another rule, I will never eat things out of a container. So I'm not going to sit down and eat my Edie's ice cream out of the container. I'm not going to pull chips out of a bag sitting on my couch. And that leads to another one. I'm not going to eat my food while doing other things. I talked about that as a tip a few weeks ago. Don't do anything else while you eat. Well, that's a good thing to set as a rule. All right. Moving along with that, a lot of people have trouble when they drink alcohol. I'm not telling you not to drink alcohol. I'm going to let you guys figure that out on your own. Now, the reason you may not want to drink so much alcohol is because our body prioritizes metabolism or breaking down of alcohol before it prioritizes breaking down your macronutrients, your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. So that means all those extra calories get put on the back burner so our body can get rid of the poison, okay, the ethanol and the alcohol, right? So that's why you may want to cut back. The other reason why, inhibitions are lowered when you drink alcohol. You're more likely to just eat whatever you want, do any bad habit when you drink, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not going to tell you that. That's not my job. I'm not your parent, right? But good rules when you do decide to drink. You're an adult. When you decide to drink, you want to put a rule on yourself maybe. All right? So when I drink at a restaurant or a bar, I will not eat appetizers, desserts, or processed food-laden meals. Okay? Okay, so you've decided before you got there, my treat is going to be my martini or my beer, etc. So it's going to help you keep your calories low, and it's going to make your body have an easier time doing both the alcohol and metabolizing of the carbs, fats, and proteins. Another good rule, and this is good for your hangover the next day, if I drink, I will have a glass of water every 2 drinks. Okay, big glass of water. If I'm having alcohol, I'm going to drink water with it. Okay, help dilute that alcohol, make me feel better. And we all know alcohol, it can make you feel pretty bad the next day. Water does good for everything in your body. Last rule for alcohol, this is just an example again. My drinks will never have a high calorie content, or I will not add sugar to my alcohol. I don't want to drink my calories. Probably that resonates with a lot of you guys. So I'm not going to have all those mixed sugary garbage processed orange juice from concentrate drinks. I'm just going to have a diet soda and a rum, or I'm going to have a tonic water, lime, and a diet tonic water if they have it, and some gin, right? So I've already mitigated calories I've had in, and maybe the lime is good for me too, right? Another area that's a good example is planning, right? So this is where people really have trouble. This is probably one of the biggest things. So for an example, I will go grocery shopping every Friday after work without fail. I will never go to the grocery store without a list, and I will never buy things if it's not on the list. So that means you're going to figure out through iterations, hey, what do I actually need, right? And then eventually you'll have your list down to a science, okay? And that's going to really help you. A, it'll help you save money, but B, you won't forget anything, and C, you won't be buying crap because you didn't plan to buy it, okay? That helps a lot. Also, if you share your list with your wife or husband or significant other and you buy extra stuff, they're going to call you out on it probably, and that helps, all right? That means you have to plan the bad foods you eat. You had to plan it, and you know it, and deep down you know, I didn't follow my rule, right? Another good rule, I will always have a meal first thing in the morning, or I will always have a meal within an hour after my workout. And this is so I won't be hungry later when I don't have food to eat, or I'm only around unhealthy food to eat, right? I will always cook vegetables and proteins in bulk on Sunday, so I'm prepared for the week when I'm busy. So when I'm busy and I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts, I don't go to some place to order junk food, I have it right in front of me. I'm going to eat it, and hopefully you put some time into cooking so it's delicious and you actually want to eat it, all right? I will set a new goal and add to my current one the last Saturday of every month. I'm going to do a self-checkup. That's something a lot of people never ever do. Self-checkup. How are you doing? Are you doing good with your goals? Do you feel good? Are you actually working on yourself? And I will measure or test myself on the same day, right? So we can test ourselves in workouts easily. That's really easy. You can measure our body biometrics. You can take body tape and go around your waist and hips. You can go on the scale. You can just look in the mirror and take a picture, right? It doesn't have to be anything specific, but you're making sure you're doing it and you're writing it down to make sure you're advancing. And finally, the last thing I'm just going to talk about is friends or social. This is really big. Human beings are very social, and if we don't get on board with our social life, with our healthy wellness life, if we don't mesh them together well, you're just never going to succeed. So a good thing is, good rule for me, I will only eat unhealthy foods around others. I'm not going to do it alone. People always tend to be worse when they're doing something alone, and that may be because they feel bad about something they knew is wrong. So I don't know about you, but I don't like to sit down and eat a whole sleeve of Oreos when I'm out with my buddies, because they're going to be like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. But people do that when they're home alone, especially when they're in an emotionally bad spot. So this rule can really help you. Another one, if I go out to eat, I will decide my meal before I go. I'm going to get online, I'm going to look up that menu, and I'm going to figure out what's healthy. It's got protein, it's got vegetables, and it doesn't have a lot of processed carbohydrates. This will save you. It will make it easy and fast to order, and you won't have to think about it. It's just nice, honestly, especially if you take forever to figure out what to order. I will go out. If I go out with, say, Sally or Joe, I will eat beforehand. Sally or Joe is always a bad influence. They always tell me to get nachos, and you just say, nah, I'm good. I'm not that hungry. I'm going to order this. It just makes it easy, that restraint. And finally, I'll put down my phone. I'm going to put down my distractions whenever I go out to eat. I'm going to be more mindful when I eat. I'm going to chew my food slowly, those kind of things. Those are always great rules. All right. Now, those rules as a whole, they're great to say, but you have to put them down somewhere. You have to remember these rules. Maybe you want to put it on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in your pocket, carry it everywhere you go. Maybe you want to set alarms on your phone to remind you on every Tuesday to do this thing or not do this thing. Those things matter. Put it up on your fridge. Tell your family, tell your friends. Have an emotional spotter or buddy help you and do that with you. These rules don't have to be concrete. If they don't work, you got to figure out why and change them. But having rules and having constraints will make your life a lot easier. Those goals, they got to come up at some point. But if you don't have a guideline, you don't have a clear path and things to keep you on the path, it's going to be a lot harder. All right, guys. Well, I hope you took something good from this. I certainly do have to work on this all the time myself, and it's something that I hope you guys can use yourself. Until next time, thank you and be well.